This week was almost a rare week, in the sense that it's very rare that Parshas Chodesh is Parshas Vayikra. But since it worked out that way, we have to seek the common denominator. But actually, it always works out this way. Very ironic every year, every Shana Pshuta anyway, that just as, Nisan comes just after we finish Sefer Shemos. It always works out that way, even if, certainly so if, Parshas Chodesh is generally Parshas Pekude, right? And it works out when you read before it comes Nisan. Actually, Nisan comes in after we're done with Shemos, right? Which one would they, even though, again, even though I know the way we lane is just a minhag, right? But, it's quite an ancient minhag, for, 1,000 years at least, So let's say, which, it begs, something that Klaus has been doing for maybe 1,000 years already. It's Hadavar Omer Dorsheni, the Dafka, when we come to Nisan, the month of Yitzias Mitzrayim, it's punct after we finished, Sefer Shemos, right? It's the whole Sefer of Gulas Mitzrayim, Hadavar Omer Dorsheni. Now, really, the answer lays in understanding the difference between Pesach Mitzrayim and Pesach Doros. Right. Let's pose it as a question. We find that in Pesach Mitzrayim there were special halachas for that generation only that is not L'Doros. Right? Right? And that expresses itself in two inyanim, one of which we'll deal with this week, the other one we'll deal with more befrat next week, if the wish here. Right? There's the special halachas of that generation of separating the korban pesach, mekho ba'asar, taking it on the 10th of Nisan, which we commemorate by Shabbos Hagara. We say one of the time of Shabbos Hagara, so we have a Masoret that day was Shabbos, right? But actually, there is no din of Mekho Ba'asar L'Doros, right?
Meaning even when we will have,
Mikdash, there is no din to be mafresh, Davka Ba'asar. I mean, there are halachas of watching, putting it under
Shimur. That's the same. That's a klali halacha by korbanos.
By all korbanos. Right. But there's a special din of mekhoy ba'asa for that door only. Special din, aside from the regular din of bikur kochim, make sure it's not a baal mum, right? Right. And then there's also the halacha of achaltem oto b'chipazon, makelchem b'yadchem. Nalchem beraglechem, right? You have to have your walking staff in hand. You can't take your shoes off. I know I take off my shoes by the Seder, right? It's supposed to be, right? No, nalchem beraglechem, right? It's supposed to be, ready on the chipazon, right? And that's not the halacha in Pesach Doros, right? So let's ask it as a question. Why is there this shift between Pesach Mitzrayim and Pesach Doros? So it is like this, right? Chodesh Hazeh Lachem Rosh Chodashim. So the very first Rashi in the Torah, right, brings from Chazal, the member of Rabbi Yitzchak. Torah should have started from Achar Zelachem, which is the very first mitzvah that Klal Yisrael got, and really we have to talk about the story of creation, because of Eretz Yisrael, as we explained at Rashi in the previous year. But it begs the question: why was the first mitzvah that Klal Yisrael got as a nation Kiddush HaChodesh? And Moshe says, I got a great new religion for you. We're done with this pagan garbage, and I've got, and we've got this great new calendar, you have to understand, why does, our the first mitzvah we get as a nation is Kiddush HaChodesh. Right. What does that say? What does it say about Yadus in general? If that's the very first mitzvah we get as a newly born independent people. Right. So the Medrash Rabbah says on the pasuk, "Hachorish hazeh lochem al tikrei hachodesh ela hachidush." Kiddush HaChodesh is a chidush, right? Something new. And yet it says, "Ein chadash tachas hashemesh," Koheles, laments, nothing new under the sun. So now, before we explain how Kiddush HaChodesh doesn't contradict that pasuk, right? We have to first understand what Koheles means. Say, Ein Chodesh, what do you mean? 150 years ago, there weren't cars, right? Weren't Walkmans, there weren't stereos, right? Hasn't life changed, many, many times over? Now, befrat now, it seems that life is, changing faster than we can keep up, right? So what's going on? There's nothing new under the sun. Right? So obviously, Koheles's definition of chadash is not like how we use it in our vernacular, like new car. Got a new car. I got a new house. We, in our vernacular, mistakenly, interchange the terms change and new. Right? Now, of course, in change, it's not really that you have anything new, you just got rid of the old. You take an in-depth look. It's a rather depressing look. At life itself, and you realize we're still dealing with the same problems that humanity faced 150 years ago. Right? We have not defeated poverty. We have not defeated disease. Not defeated famine. Right? And there's still geopolitical unrest. There's wars. Right? The only thing that shifted is the style. All right, once upon a time, wars look like this, now wars look like that, right? The people that were starving once wore this type of clothing, and then people are starving today wear, the contemporary, fashion of dress. But be'etzem, the issues and the problems remain. So now you may ask a question like this, but what about technology? Well, here's the depressing reality of the situation, right? Right? What is technology? Right? although I'm not saying this is the Webster the Webster definition is not the Webster definition of technology necessarily, but the reality of technology is that we find out, we discover how to fully utilize the resources and forces of nature. Technology doesn't invent this utility, right? That utility, right, is there misheshis mebrachus. So maybe we con ourselves in thinking that we've progressed. You really have to ask yourself, why are we so retarded that we haven't invented the airplane already 1,000 years ago? Because, the laws of aerodynamics did not get invented by the Wright brothers, right? They realized what was already there, and Adarabba, we pride ourselves on our technological advancement, we just as surely kick ourselves for being so slow that it took us thousands of years to discover how to utilize laws of nature that were in place since creation itself. In other words, technology doesn't create the laws that are being utilized. Those laws were always there. We're just so slow, we only figured it out much later. Pat ourselves on the back for progress. We should be kicking ourselves for not having figured it out sooner. Right? Oh. Shema Taimar, well, let's talk about medicine. Right? There were certain diseases, that afflicted mankind. Right? Or let's talk about even the convenience. Right? Whether we're talking about, that there's certain diseases that we've we've gotten rid of, saved humanity from certain diseases, or or alternatively, we have, there are certain, we've made life, more convenient, with our cars or whatnot. Okay. So here's the depressing thought, right? That, you have to take a look at the big picture, right? Right. If you take example the cars, right? They're a commercial, right? So, aside from the fact we're polluting the air, right? Whereas like another problem, now because of the car, people are not walking enough, and then there's big problems with obesity and other things that many people write about, that having left the village for the big city, give us a very unhealthy lifestyle. We're not getting enough exercise, right? The detailed examples are not in, okay. I don't want to get how the exact. I just want to get the point across, right? Same thing, with all our injections and antibiotics and drugs, we have rid ourselves of certain diseases. But on the other hand, these things have side effects. Or inami, when this disease went down, it gave rise to another disease. Or how these things, weaken the immune system. In theory that, all the stuff that we're pumping ourselves with is what's causing Yener Machla, Rahman al-Islam, to be so rampant in our generation that even Rahman al-Islam started inflicting young people also, Hashem Yirachim, right? And, the theory is because, our modern way of life, does, so how can you talk about progress? Mashal Ma'adavar Doime, the short blanket, I know we use this mashal a lot, right? So you pull it over the face, you uncover your feet. You cover your feet, you pull over your face. So let's say before you tried anything, the blanket was exactly in the middle. You pull it to one end, but you cause another set of problems. So Bekitzer, the point I'm trying to make is, if your quote unquote solutions, bring about as a side effect a whole nother new set of problems, have you really progressed? Halavai, you should have broken even, in the big picture. So this is what Koheles means. Ein chodesh tachas hashemesh. It's really the same old world. The Israelis have a rhyme. Oto giveret b'shinui aderet. Same woman, just she's wearing a different coat.
Yep, got to find something in English parallel to
Yeah,
that. I know there is something.
No, I say, but it's such a
Yeah, very appropriate.
Yes. No, and that's what they're about. There's a shift in style,
Right.
but b'mahut, there's no shinui mahuti. So there's a lot of change, but there's nothing new. Because new, by Koheles' standards,
Right.
obviously, means, new world order. Something, it's not the same old world. There's been, the world has progressed, in an absolute sense, progressed without any side effect regression that causes the whole thing to average out as the same old thing. That big gadol, you're not any better off. New, by Koheles' standards, means, obviously, right? That the world is truly better off, without any side effects. Right. So we mentioned, but this may have to be a footnote. We mentioned that that one could argue that b'chol zot in refuah there was progress. And certainly maybe some issues, there's side effects and thus, but refuah there has been absolute progress with certain types of refuah. Certain types of refuah. There might be certain types of refuah that's kulo tov and no side effects. So there is this bechina, and this has to do with Chodesh, or what we say in davening. We say kulavado ose chadoshos, baal muchamos, zeretzachos, matziachos, borei refuos. That we're talking about Hashem does do indeed new things. And in the list of the new things there is borei refuos. And we know that there's between the Pashtonim say the difference between Bria and Yetzira is that Bria is like Yesh Ma'ain. It's not Yesh Meyesh. That really it's like something brand new that came out of nowhere. So really there might be a certain aspect of Rifu'ah that is parallel to the Chodesh that we are seeking. Right? And this is Merumas in the Gemara in Megillah, Daf Yud Zayin, Amud Beis, that the Gemara goes through the structure of the Shmona Esrei, while each bracha is where it is, in the weekday Shmona Esrei. So it points out that the bracha of Rifa'enu is the 8th bracha of Shmona Esrei. And the Gemara says, why? Because we need refuah for Mila Shenitna Bashmini. Because since Bris Mila is the... on the 8th day, so connected that, Rafa'inu was the 8th bracha. You need refuah, right, because of bris milah. Which is an amazing thing. That means that the converse of that statement is that if it wouldn't be for bris milah, there wouldn't be refuah in the world. Right? And bris milah is actually to make a chidush, because man is beteva and orel. So there's a certain type of refuah. There's a certain type of refuah that is mamish chodesh, and that's mamish connected the refuah that's beschus the milah, right? But ein kamokum laharich. That's just.
I understand the Rav is going to leave it as a makom iyun.
There's that there might if a person has refuah taka refuah, there are certain types of refuah that are different, that refuah that is
סליחה, אנחנו באנו לכאן כדי שמיעו.
maklitim. Right. Yeah, so I would say it's an aside. There's someone might ask that there are certain types of refuah that have been kulo tov and not ra, real progress. So enachinami, there is it's alluded to in the tefillah, it's alluded to in the Shemona Esrei. Yeah? There is a type of refuah that is connected oiseh chadashos, borei refuahs. There is that enachinami. That's b'schus the mila that Kleisel does, which is a chiddush, that refuah comes to the world. Right?
And we don't say
what?
We don't say that that's the same way all these others were described by the Rav as just they were in potential in the world and people brought them out. This is some other. This is something. Now, how is the refuahist that there's a school for any different? How is this refuah
so
qualitatively different? I hear the Rav saying in the schus of bris milas, so certain refuahs come into the world that don't have any ra to them,
right?
But why? Except for the fact that it's called borei, why couldn't we?
I said the prelude says oseh chadoshos, right? Right. Oseh chadoshos baal milchamas retzos borei refuahs. Right.
And that's not part. You can't say it's set up as part of the ma'arechet of. It was put into the world, and when it will be misgale through certain things. The first type the Rav was talking about is through human understanding of something. The second is a skuladika discovery, so to speak, of that.
No, so look, I'm not. This is not part of the main guf
Right.
hamayim. Right? This is really a footnote that if someone will be troubled by the Indian of refuah, that there are certain types of refuahs that seemingly have been kulam tov and gamalasu tov velora, no side effects, nothing. That there has been in the field of medicine certain things that are, definitely only good and definitely only progress. So that's so the refuahs of dafka is dafka saying shelo kederach shelo kederach hateva. There is something about it that shelo kederach hateva. That's why it's refuahs for the mila. Akash brings a forward b'susamil, which mila shelo kederach hateva. So I say as a footnote, makom iyun, as you say, is not part of the etzem hamaymer, but the makom iyun that there might be a aspect of refuah that is connected the oseh chadoshos that we are seeking, which is not the way we use the term new. The ikar at this point is that we throw around the term new, and all we mean is just a shift in the external tzura sadover, and it's not really any type of shinui mahut. It's more getting rid of what I'm sick of, but it doesn't mean I got anything new. As when we made a thing, so both in Israel and in America, two very successful campaigns. They were done, a few years apart. There were two very successful political campaigns. One of Tommy Lapid, Bishaito, and one of Barack Obama, Bishaito. He said shinui and he said change, right?
Right.
And they got in because sometimes you just switch from the coalition to the opposition because you're sick of the coalition. But the opposition doesn't have any answers to the security problem, the poverty problem, the unemployment problem. Mankind no politician has the answers, right? There are certain set things that you could do to try to mitigate, the pain, of poverty or whatever, and then just this guy makes a platform out of this one, old method, and this one makes a platform out of the other old method, and you basically shift from this one to that one because you're just sick of him, No person deep down really believes that someone's got a solution to the, Benas Manim. There's an 11 o'clock Marv.
Ah.
Good to know. Right? No one's got a solution. Right? You can't change the cosmic balance. The cosmic balance is a world ki lo yechdal evyon mikerav haaretz, so there's always going to be poor people. Until Mashiach comes, which is, the Navi says, Chadashot ani oseh, I'm going to do new things. So the world's going to always be a world that has, the rich people and the poor people, the hungry people and the people that aren't hungry, and the rich people, the poor people, the sick people and the healthy people. No one could get the world out of that cosmic balance. And that's what Kos means, Ein Chodesh Tachas Hashem. Right? But Klal Yisrael's mission is to taka make Chodesh. Change the world order. Right? So now the shift in world order, how should we say, it plays out very much in time. Right? And first and foremost, the type of newness that we're talking about, as opposed to, newness in the vernacular. Newness in the vernacular, as we've shown, just means one thing: out with the old. And that's the whole thrust of time. The whole thrust of time in that world view, or that world reality even, is that the passage of time is all about just making things old and taking them from old to obliteration. And then it comes the turn for something else to get old and to be obliterated, and something else to get old and be obliterated. I call it new just because I just threw out my old washing machine. but the washing is a washing machine, right? And basically I'm what we call new is just sachakol, what I'm not bored with yet. Not bored with yet. Soon to be bored with, right? And that's like seems to be the thrust of time, right? Time is just to make things old and boring, and then to bring them from there to total obliteration and oblivion, right? And talking about new in the sense that we're talking about is it's a different yachasut to the Indian of Zman, that a new day is new opportunities that there never were before. That as days pass, new energies come into the Bria. As opposed to the regular outlook on time, the physical outlook on time, is that everything is in the Bria already, and time is just robbing you of it. But this type of new that we're talking about is that every day is going to bring new shefa that there wasn't before. That the passage of time is not depleting the universe, the passage of time is adding to the universe.
But then it would come out that the expression Ein Chadash Tachat Hashemesh with this definition would negate that.
No, so there's a difference between Shemesh and Yareach. Ein Chadash Tachas Hashemesh, under the sun. Right. Under the sun, but not under the moon. Right? Chazal darshan on that pasuk. Tachas Hashemesh ein Chodesh. L'mala min Hashemesh yesh Chodesh. There's what's above the sun. Well, what light do we get that's above the sun? The light of the moon. the light of the Chodesh. The Chodesh goes by the moon, right? Kiddush HaChodesh is, being Mekadosh the Levana, right? There's no Chodesh Tachas HaShemesh, but Tachas HaYareach, there is Chodesh. That is the or that's Lamala Min HaShemesh.
Now that's a very big chiddush to look at the light of the moon, especially because of its nature of reflecting the light of the shemesh. But in addition to that, I think just even in a physical sense, it's closer to the earth, and it isn't. While there is the cycle aspect of things, but it isn't as strong. So what's the Rav trying to say?
No, because you are looking at the physical side of the moon. It's not like the moon first started shining by Yetzias Mitzrayim, my friend. The moon was shining, during the whole of world history, So obviously we're not talking about the physical light of the moon. We're talking about the Ruchni side of the light of the moon, which obviously is only revealed by the Ruchni people, i.e. Klal Yisrael. The Umasam do not have the kalim to bring out this or halavana. Right?
And what aspect of the light of moon, even in the spiritual sense, is it that we're focusing on?
I have not. Haven't built up that point yet. Right. No. So Chazal say, Rashi brings it as Pirush on Chumash, by the creation of light, V'alkim es ha'or ki toiv. Right, this refers to the or hagonus, the light that in the next pasuk gets hidden. There's the good light, the light the light of goodness, which means the light that dispels what is bad. Light is good, darkness is bad, and this light was good. I mean, it is the light that dispels all darkness. This is the light that we daven for in the aforementioned bracha of Kriya Shema, or Chadash al Tzion Torah, the new light should shine on Tzion. Right. This good light is also the new light. This is the light that brings newness to the world. The newness that it brings to the world is the negation of evil, as we'll explain. Right. So I'll call panim, but nachzor l'inyanenu. So what does Rashi say? Next passage, that lo kedai, that this or should be accessed by the Rishonim. So he deal with tzaddikim lasilovo. It's been separated for the tzaddikim for the future. As God said, between light and darkness. Now, which means our light as we know it is darkness. The real light has been separated. And this is what's called the or hagonus, right? The hidden light. It's hidden means it's put where you can't see it. Now, when's the time that you can't see? Night. Because the light that we do see, that's not the real thing. That's not the orchitov. Right? The light of the sun, the light of day, is actually called darkness. Spiritually speaking, because that's light as we know it. That just enables us to see, to go about our daily affairs. It's not the light that dispels the darkness of the chisronot. So the light is hidden where you can't see. Where's where you can't see? Nighttime. Right? So Heavy Omer, the light of night, is that or hagonus? Well, let's put it in other words. let's Lamer Zagan Azay. Let's put in we could or Klach L'derech Zu, right? You know the cosmic balance now is that everything is half light, half dark. And I'm not just talking about when the days are balanced. It's a 12 hours light, 12 hours dark. But it all averages out the way. Because in the summer there's more light than darkness. But in the winter there's more darkness than light. So it all averages out. That's 50-50, right? Right? And that's an Indian Gadol. That cosmic balance, right? Of 50% light, 50% dark. That's how it works out on the average, right? Is keneged the mitzias of olam hazeh that tov and ra are equally weighted, right? And it has to be that way, to enable free will. And so you have to. So it has to be equally weighted. Hein mitzad, the adam hein mitzad is environment. That should be a fair fight. But here you have something that breaks the averages, right? The moon, because the moon lights up the darkness. So Havi Omer, the moon is this or hagonos, this or kitayv, right? The or that negates ra. And changes the cosmic balance. And that's the newness that we're talking about. The rules have changed. The rules of reality have changed. Reality is betzim shifted to become more tov and less ra. And that's chadash. New world. New cosmic balance. And the moon is connected that mitzias. Now take a look. Getting into the oimek hadover. It has to do with, Kiddush HaChodesh and Rosh Chodesh per se, right? The korban of Musa of Rosh Chodesh is called Chatzas LaHashem. Gemara says in Chulin, Rebbe says Havio like kapara shemiatati es hayarech. I want atonement for having mitigated the moon. So how can God sin and whatever?
Can we just ask before that?
Yeah.
Rob mentioned this also. The truth of the matter is that in the physical, and again in the physical sense,
Yes.
nothing changed. Nothing changed as far as the wax and the wane of the moon. That when the Yidden became the nation that's able to not just Mekadosh Levana, but the Rabbi is saying in a larger scale, bring out that special light into the world.
Right.
So it's really just our viewpoint of it, our vantage point of it.
No. Accessing the ruchani dimension of it,
Mm-hmm.
but it has to do. I didn't get to the point of miut hayareach yet.
Okay.
Right. So it said, as everyone knows, the famous, Gemara. It's the same Gemara in Chulin. It originally says "Vaskim Mishnei Amrosa Gdolim," and then it says "Amar Gorma Cotton." That Hakadosh Baruch Hu, after the moon said whatever it said, without getting into the details of, I don't want to get into all the details of the dialogue of why the moon had to first be Mekatreg. That's another shmuz. Let's just get to the end result, that the moon was initially very large, and then it was mitigated, and la'atid lavo, right? It's going to go back, v'haya or levana korachama, like we daven by Kiddush Levana. We daven l'maus pekim asav v'or levana korachama, and the Navi says it'll be that way, right? So, to understand ba'ofen klali, right, what happened over here? Initially they were the same size, HaKadosh Baruch Hu mitigates it, and that's not the maskana. The maskana is mecharvata kedushanina meikara. It has to go back to the way it really was, and all vana karachama. What's going on? What this all means to us, in a philosophical sense, is that we want the world to be kulotov. And that means that the turf that the Ra has currently has to be illuminated. Has to be lightened up, has to be refined. Right? Right? So, of course, to facilitate that, HaKadosh Baruch Hu's Magdim Refuah L'Maka. Get it? Magdim Refuah L'Maka, Bora Refuah. Right? But, let's see if the reader catches it himself. Right? So, of course, you have to precedent the Matzav B'Tikuno to ensure that you could get there. Right? There's a Klal Gadol in Jewish philosophy that HaKadosh Baruch Hu first is Boirei. HaKadosh Baruch Hu is first Boirei the Matzav B'Shleimus as a hachana to be able to get there. You know what it's doimah to? Like how they teach the child the whole Torah in his mother's womb to give him a hachana, and then he forgets that learning, but now he has a hachana to get to knowing Kol Torah Kula. So that's in the Odom. The parallel to that in the Olam was HaKadosh first being Borei the Levana B'si HaShleimus, in the epitome of perfection, which precedents that Madrega. It's Borei that Madrega, it's Borei that potential, right? And then HaKadosh was Mimayit the Levana, right? So now obviously, because to make the job doable, you have to create the potential for success, right? So he's Borei it first, Shalem, and then he's Mimayit. And this, you see, this is the Rebbe Shalom's style of doing things and everything. He's first Borei the Shlemus, then he's Seiser it, and so that way you could get there, but through your own efforts. If you wouldn't be Borei the Shlemus, the goal that you're trying to attain wouldn't exist, right? There's Borei the goal, and then so he was Borei the Levana, B'si HaShlemus, like it's going to be lost in Lavoi, to precedent the Matzav HaMetukan, to make it a reality, to make it a potential, right? And then he was Mimayit the Levana, and the Mira Levana allows the night to be dark, right? Because if the moon would shine as brightly as the sun, then the night wouldn't be dark, right? So he's Mimayit the Levana, right? But what's the tachlis? Mimayit the Levana, so that the Pegimas HaLevana should be filled ayidei avoda. That Tikkunoi Shel Olam should be totally in avoda. Because the Rebbe wanted to be natural, then the Tikkun would have been, natural from Shesh Mei Bereshis. He wants it to be, totally in avoda sa'odam. And that's in his Mimayit the Levana. Where the Ramchal writes in the Das Tfunas that in the parallel in the Odom also is that the neshama is B'si HaShleimus from inception, right? But then the HaKadosh was mitzvah on the neshama to mitigate itself, to enter the guf, and he says, "Hareze kedugmas sheksiva ala levana lechi ma'atiyas atzmech." That's all mamish the same sod. That that the koach hatikun already was created b'si hashleimus, and then HaKadosh Baruch Hu is geyser that be mitma'et, right? And it'll re-expand to its natural greatness mikoach avoda. And that way you'll get schar for it, because it happened mikoach avoda. So now, what it means, in other words, that when Rebbe mitigated the moon, he was boirei chisaron. Of course, magdim refuah lamaka. There was first boirei shleimus, and it was boirei chisaron after shleimus. Right? And that's what the Rebbe says, Havil like kapor shem mi'atati es hayarech, says the Maral. The word chet. Kapor is anti-chet, right? The word chet, doesn't have to mean sin in its most literal sense. It means chisaron. Now, of course, it happens to be that the biggest chisaron is sin. But it means chisaron. Yaakov Avinu tells Lavan, if you think any of your flock is missing, anochi achatena, I'll take the loss on myself. Anochi achatena. Lashon chet means chisaron, right? Havilai kapor shmiat zerach. I want kapor. I'm meaning when I was mimaiti yareach, I created chisaron in the world because I mitigated the light that is sholel that negates evil. By mitigating that light, I now made it I gave evil room to exist. Right? And so that's chet. I mean, chet in the Lashon Chisaron. So I want kapara. Kapara is anti-chet. Havilai kapara should mi'at tiyasik. Because miut halavana was making room for chisroinus. And Hashem did it, then man, through his effort, should, cause the moon to expand again. Or everything else. Increase the light of the moon. Increase the light of the moon. That is the light that pierces the darkness. Right? And that's Chodesh. That's Chodesh. Because that changes the cosmic balance. And that's what makes a new world, where the cosmic balance is different.
What was it like before?
Right.
1 second.
So now,
when was before? When did the change take place? And what was it like before? That's the two questions.
No, so I'd say, so during the Alpayim Tohu, we mentioned many times, Chazal divide up, world history into three eras: Alpayim Tohu, Alpayim Torah, Alpayim Mashiach. So, albeit literally speaking, the Alpayim Tohu comes to its literal end. With Avram Avinu, right, who starts being Mefarsim Shem Shemayim Bolam. But as we've already said in a few shiurim, he's only building up merit and potential. The transition b'poal happens when Am Yisrael becomes an Am with Yitzias Mitzrayim. Right. Now, as we spoke many times, during the pre-Yitzias Mitzrayim era, there were no revealed miracles. Right? There was no Gili Elokus. Right? Right? And as a result, Enochinami, buildings were getting built, but the world wasn't progressing. Right? And then that's why it's called a Pine Tol, even though lots of buildings got built and there's a lot of technological advancement, but that's not really Chadash, as we've explained. Right? Because the world's not going anywhere. And we mentioned many times the Ramchal in the Das Tvunis. What is the difference between Toh and Tikkun? We mentioned this Ramchal many times. People think, Toh must be total chaos. No, it doesn't have to be total chaos. Anytime the world is just in a rat race, right? But no progress is being made. Like, it's a corporation. I abuse him, and he abuses him, and he abuses him. Like, so one big law of a jungle. Okay, that's called tohu because there's no hashlama taking place, right? Just when tikkun is when there's a higher goal, and everything now is supplementing each other to attain that higher goal. So that's called that the world is, for lack of a better word, evolving. Right? Metamorphosizing to become a better place. So before Yitzias Mitzrayim, right? The world, the world was not making any progress in the real sense of what we're talking about. There was no chidush. It was the same old world. From Brias Olam until Yitzias Mitzrayim was the same old world. So buildings got built. So what? The world hadn't changed. The world had not changed. The world had not progressed. The world was not in any way more mitukan till the era of Yitziat Mitzrayim.
I mean, we could say more extreme than that. The world was devolving.
Yeah,
I don't know. I don't know how. I don't know how you relate to
building pyramids.
Etzem. No, I'm saying no. Etzem Bria, and there was nobody doing anything mitzad avoda to anything, and then it devolved into avodah zara. Legabe the plan, it's certainly devolving, right? It's going further away from Hashem,
Right.
but maybe not in terms of just looking at the plan. You could say it's just by not going in the right direction, it's not evolving. Okay.
So that comes Yetziat Mitzrayim, and as the Sfarim all agree, it's in many Sfarim. Mitzrayim is Lashon Meitzarim, right? Boundary. The world was stuck in a, we gave the mashal, the politically incorrect Polak joke, right?
I didn't hear that. Okay.
Except in Israeli culture, it's not a Polak.
They don't say about
it's a Kurdi.
Kurdi, you said.
Yeah, I said a Kurdi, right? You want to drive a Kurdi crazy, put him in a round room and tell him to sit in the corner, right? Right? So as I was saying, that was the matzav of the world prior to Yetzias Mitzrayim. Oh, a lot of stuff happened. Oh, there were a lot of turns of events. But Kufa, turns of events. You had a lot of wars, a lot of revolutions, basically like now also. Whatever, there was a Russian Revolution. Did they gain anything by going from the Tsar to communism? Whatever. You have a lot of revolutions, but you don't really get anywhere. You're just chasing your tail. The world is going around in circles. You have change, but you don't have anything new. So you're a slave to this guy, you got sick of him, so you depose of him. Now you have a new guy who takes advantage of you, right? It's just like you have a war, it was by World War I, they called the war to end all wars. Right? It was World War I, right?
How many years later?
Yeah, you're right.
Right.
World War II made World War I look like a joke, right? Right? You're not getting anywhere. You're chasing your tail. Right? And that was the matzav before Yetzias Mitzrayim. And of course, anyone who lives by the pace of the secular world is also in that problem. I mean, Klal Yisrael is the one that had Yetzias Mitzrayim. It happened to Klal Yisrael. Right? Klal Yisrael gets out of the box. We're like in the round box, just going chasing our tail. Yetzias Mitzrayim is to break out. Right? Is to break out of the box. Now the Radziner says a very interesting thing, that it's it's not a we know that Pesach has to be b'chodesh ha'aviv, right? That's a special halacha that even though Kaddish the Levana and the Ora Levana is connected the new light, but it has to be equalized with the sun, that in the sense that that Nisan always be in the month of spring. So he says a very interesting idea, but of course you have to one can only measure this difference spiritually. He says like this, that prior to Tzias Mitzrayim, you know what the significance of spring was. Chodesh Aviv. Right? Listen, it's a cycle. Things die, things grow. Things die, things grow. Yeah. And he says now the perception has changed. Not the perception. I mean perception for Klal Yisrael, but the mitzias of the olam has changed. That now, when something grows, listen to what he says. That's the B'chinas Yitzias Mitzrayim for that Zach. That there's right now the seasons are not a cycle. The seasons are progress. And when a tree blooms in the spring, that's the B'chinas Yitzias Mitzrayim for that tree. That now it's like its new and higher form emerges. But of course, that's something which is only measurable spiritually. To the physical eye, looks the same. Looks like it's a cycle. It looks like the tree of last year. Maybe the trunk got a little bit thicker, but it looks. but he says like this, that really that's the transition that reality went through. Reality wasn't blooming and blossoming, in the philosophical sense. Reality was running in cycles. But by Yitzias Mitzrayim, the whole Bria shifted. Because the Bria follows Klal Yisrael. That now things are, the significance of Aviv has shifted. Now the Aviv is, things blossoming. This is Lashon. Things blossoming is a B'chinas Yitzias Mitzrayim for that thing that blossomed. That before was B'meitzar, and now it's B'merchav. Right? That reality shifted, and now from Yitzias Mitzrayim and onwards, we're out of the Alpayim Tohu. Finally, totally and finally, we're mamish out of the Alpayim Tohu, and then now we're in the Alpayim Torah, and then where the Bria is in a mahalach of progress, not cycle, but progress. It's only cycle to the physical eye, but someone who is spiritually sensitive will see that in the spiritual dimensions, things are progressive. So it's like the significance of time shifted. Prior to Yitzias Mitzrayim, time was all about just getting old. Now, every new month, chidush, there's chidush. I mean, we say now starts the era of the Shtei Alafim Torah. In Torah, there's halacha. B'chol yom yu beinecha kechadoshim. You know what? I saw this is the 10th day I'm on this sugya. You know what? And this is the 10th time it looks like something brand new. It's mamish tehefech. It's the 10th time I can't take it anymore. No, b'chol yom yu beinecha kechadoshim. This the mahalach of Torah. The Beis Alafim Torah is b'chol yom yu beinecha kechadoshim. New day, new energies, right? It's most expressed, it's mamish every day. It's even every second. But the biggest, where the Adam most taps into it and most sees it is on the monthly cycle, because the daily cycle is shemesh, right? Tachas hashemesh, right? And when we say that something is perpetually new, that's lemala min hashemesh. Where the Adam has, is most connected to the lemala min hashemesh is the Or HaLevana. And that's why it's the first mitzvah Klal got by its in preparation for Yitzias Mitzrayim. It's to bring newness to the world, new world order. And with this we get, and the whole concept of time now shifts. We count by the Levana. It's called Chodesh. We view new day, new energy, new power, new ability. The cosmic balance is perpetually shifting to a new state that it wasn't in before. But you have to live in Klal Yisrael's reality, so for like you asked, the moon didn't first start shining by Yitzias Mitzrayim. Fine. If you're stuck in Tohu, right? So for you, the light of the moon is just a physical phenomenon, You have to be in the pace of Torah, and then the light of the moon, it takes on another meaning. But you have to be in those dimensions to tap into those dimensions of the moon. If you're not in those dimensions, so the moon doesn't have that significance. The moon is Or Chodesh, HaChodesh, the Chodesh Ela HaChidush. Now, of course, there's the famous Yerushalmi, Lakela Goimer Olai, a girl under 3 was a girl that was exactly 3 was Nivelis, and Bezin is Ma'aber the Shona, and Lemafreya turns out she wasn't 3 yet, right? So Bisul Seh Chayzrin. So that's Chodesh. That is Chodesh, right? Everyone harps on that. Is why it's very important to have Kiddush HaChodesh, but that's just a symptom. The Indian is Shinui Sidrei Bereshis, which Shinui Sidrei Bereshis is also a different outlook on time. If you really want to get down to it, this has to do with the difference between Klal Yisrael and Yom Olam. As far, the old Jewish view. It's sort of passé bisman hazeh, right? But classically, zakein, zeh kana chachma, right? The respect for the elders. Which I don't know, that's sort of waned, but once upon a time was a Jewish. No, I'm serious. I find that people want the young rabbi bisman hazeh. It's not like, Hashem Rachim. Said it.
How is that
No. So I'm
idea
just saying.
connected?
No, I'm just trying to explain that what the secular world worships youth, and Klal Yisrael, values age, right? Because from a secular worldview, the older you are, the more worn out you are. Being old means time has robbed you of your vitality. Mm-hmm. We say, Adraba, Zakein Zekana, this guy actually acquired something. Zekana Chachma. He's actually done something with his life. And the older he is, the more kayach he has, because he's had more shefa upon him. The Ramchal writes this someplace, I can't remember that, the Indian of, that there's even a din of mipnei seva takum. Even if the guy's an Amoritz, if as long as he's not a mushchas, you have to stand up for him. If he's reached 70, he's better than you are, because his neshama has been in his guf for 70 years, so he has now been mit'aleh to a superior being than who you are. So Marshal, we view that time brings better, time brings chokhmah, time brings new spiritual energy. So the zakein is better than the nar. But in the secular world, it's just the opposite. The older you are, the worse off you are. By the way, that's even there is, as I understand, I read about this in Musar's Forum. I've heard the term also. There's a concept by the secular world called the dirty old man. That there's even not just a physical regression, there's like a moral regression. Like these old people start swearing, mouth like a toilet, and like try to pick up young girls and things like that. Uh-huh. So it's because they're living in tohu, and adarabba, so time robs them of their vitality, which includes their mental, emotional, and moral vitality. The Achshor Savrei has a very interesting uptight in this, the dirty old man. He says like this, of course when you get older, all your kochos go down. But there's one koch that drops faster than all the others. Koch ha'ipuk, the power of self-restraint. So it comes out like this. He makes it's a goynistic cheshbon. You wonder, how does an old man become such a menuvel and a porutz, which he wasn't when he was younger? The taivas get less. Yeah, all the taivas get less, but the koach of self-restraint falls more rapidly than the other taivas, and that's why he becomes a big baal taiva. Right? Interesting, right? So I'll go upon it, but right? It's a different outlook on time. It's a different outlook on destiny. The real, genuine optimism that tomorrow will be a better world. Not just I'm saying that as a political campaign, but like, be'emes, to live in that type of mahalach. So now we can understand something. The difference between Pesach Mitzrayim and Pesach Doros that we're finally getting back to. That in Pesach Mitzrayim there was two halachas that there aren't l'doros of Mishchu v'Khu, by the Korban Pesach, right, and also B'chipazon. Right, so Reb Tzadok talks about this in the Tzidkas Hatzah. It's not Reb Tzadok to the exclusion of other Sfarim, but he says it just so short and to the point. And it's in the Reb Tzadok in the Tzidkas HaTzadik, he says like this: because by Pesach Mitzrayim we had to break out from one world order to a different world order, right? So since they're by definition two different orders, there's no natural connection between the two of them. So it's got to be a jump. It has to be b'chipazon. You have to jump because there's no natural walkway from one to the other. Right? So that's why, we're not going to explain fully here, but there's like, Christ had to separate themselves, by separating the Korban Pesach. There's a Mechilta, the Mishchu v'kchu. It says there, Mishchu atzmechem me'avoda zara v'kchu atzmechem la'kodesh baruch hu. Like, separating the Korban Pesach was actually an act of separating themselves from avoda zara and giving themselves over to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Right? And that's also further, when it reached the high point, with the chipazon, it's a jump, because in Pesach Mitzrayim they were making the jump from Tohu to Tikkun, from the Beis Alofim Tohu to the Beis Alofim Torah. So since there are two different world orders that don't meet anywhere, don't meet in a natural way, It's obviously we're meant to progress from one to the other, but it's not like taking a walk, from here to the Makolet, right? It's it's to break out of break out of the loop. So that's why there was a halacha for that door, right, of doing it b'chipazon, because they have to take a jump. It's not taking a walk; it's taking a jump, because you're breaking out of the loop. You're breaking out of the cycle of tohu. You're breaking the loop. Right? You're getting out of the Beis Alofim Tohu to the Beis Alofim Torah. He said, but every year after that, you're already in the Beis Alofim Torah. Right? So even though there is a very big difference between Seder night and the rest of the night, so much so that the kids ask, Ma nishtana alayla, it's very different, right? But it doesn't have to be done b'chipazon. The fact that we overwork ourselves, we come to Seder night exhausted, that's because we have hang-ups with dirt. But that's not, it doesn't have to be that way. It's because our exhaustion Seder night is because we're obsessive compulsive about cleaning. It doesn't have to be that way. There's no betzem dika halacha of. So even though it's mamish ma nishtana laila zeb, you don't have to go b'chipazon to enter Seder night, because we're in the Beis Alofim Torah. We live in the Ma'arechet of Torah and mitzvahs year round. So even though as radically different as Seder night is from the rest of the year, it's without chipazon. The Navi says, lo b'chipazon teitzeu. I can't remember where that note is, by the Gula Achron. It's not lo b'chipazon teitzeu. It's going to be like a natural progression, because the Beis Alofim Torah naturally lead to the Beis Alofim Mashiach. It's a build-up, and every day, if you live by the pace of the Torah, every day is new spiritual energies, and the world is constantly developing. Spring represents mamish, rebirth, not just stamma cycle, and that's the way. If you live by the Mahalach of Torah, everything is perpetually new. And until the point that the world will totally evolve to a perfected state, and therefore lo b'chipazon teitzeu, like losu level chipazon won't be necessary, right? That's what Navi says. I can't remember what the pasuk is. Lo b'chipazon teitzeu, right? Because through the koach of Torah and mitzvahs, right? It's it's not a jump; it's a progression. But in the original Pesach, it was a jump. Because you're breaking out from Tohu to Tikkun, from the Beis Alofim Tohu to the Beis Alofim Torah. Oh, so now this is what Nisan is L'Doros. Right. The first Nisan was Yitzias Shayim. What was the next Nisan? Hakamas HaMishkan. Mishkan was, that's why we're not saying Tachnu now. From now, from Rosh Chodesh, because it's the Zman of Chanukah Sandesim. Right? The Mishkan was, institutionalized. It's an amazing thing that it's called institutionalizing newness. Like you think, for us, in our fake newness, that's a stira minei ubei. Newness for us means out with the old. And Hakamas HaMishkan is like to institutionalize newness. Because the newness is the Or HaShechina. And Kayadua, the Or HaShechina is the Or HaLevana. That's why we say by Kiddush Levana, David Melech Yisrael Chai V'Kayim. It's the Midas HaMalchus, which is the Midah called Shechina. That's why also David Melech so much wanted to build the Beis Mikdash. And the Rambam Paskins Mashiach will build the Beis Mikdash HaShlishi, right? It's Midas HaMalchus. That's also Nisan is Rosh Hashanah L'Malchei Yisrael. The Midah of Malchus. The Midah of Malchus is the Midah of Shechina. The Shechanti is that's the spiritual light. That mikoch, that spiritual light, there's newness. That's what's causing the world to evolve. That spiritual energy, because the world kishula atzmo is a closed circuit. So what's causing the world to evolve and develop? It's the Or HaShechina, and that's the of Hakadosh. And that's Nisan L'Deiros. Nisan L'Deiros is the Inyan newness without radical change, because we're already in the ma'arechet of Torah. Right? And that's just between Pesach Mitzrayim and Pesach Doros. Pesach Doros is newness, right? Newness, but without a jump, because you're already in the Ma'arechet of Torah. Right? As Reb Tzadok says, when you're already in, you have to do it slow and be Yishuv Adas. Just to break in, you have to break, you have to jump. But once you're in, you go slow, be Yishuv Adas. And that's in the Hakomas HaMishkan. Institutionalizing newness, as much as it might sound as no, but because we're in the Ma'arechet of Torah, and it's just that's b'cholim yibenecha kachadoshim. That's the end of Hakomas HaMishkan of Nisan. That's the end of Pesach Doros. Always newness, but now it's not with chipazon because we're already in the Ma'arechet of Torah. So in the Dayenu that we say, Seder night. So it goes from lower Madre, if we've only been this Dayen, certainly somebody gave us this. And if well Dayen, and somebody gave us that, and what's the highest one, the 50th Madre? Ubanal is Beis HaBchira lechaper al kol avonos. Right, the highest level of the Dayen is that there's been a binyan HaMikdash, and what? Lechaper al kol avonos. For kapara, for you want to mention sin, even though it's by the wayside. And that's really what the whole Parsha of Vayikra is. The whole Parshas Vayikra is all the korbanos lekapara. Right? Right? But don't you understand? Kapara is a chiddush. Kapara is chadash. The Yerushalmi says, Yerushalmi in the second parak of Makos, the Yerushalmi, parak Makos, parak Sheni, right? Famous Chazal, right? That as a word, it was an imaginary philosophical dialogue with the different forces of reality. Shalu lechachma, chota, they asked wisdom. Well, what should happen to a chayte? So Chachma said, nefesh chatos tirdafo sora. He should be pursued with, bad things should happen to him the rest of his days. That's what Chachma said. Shalu la chote mancho. They asked Kivyachol the musag of prophecy. What should happen to him? Hanefesh chatos yamus. Shalu la Torah chote mancho. So the Torah says, Yavi Osham Vis Kaper. Bring a carbon and get kapar. Mamash Parshas Vayikra. Bring a carbon and get kapar. Now there is a higher level called Shola Kodesh Baruch, and Kodesh Baruch says, Yasechu Vanim Makablo. But Le'inyanenu, we're talking about Torah, talking about the Beis Alof and Torah. The Torah says, Yavi Osham Vis Kaper. Right? Says, the Maral explains in the Siv HaTshuva, says like this. Right? A person did a chet, you don't have a time machine to undo it. So wisdom says, quid pro quo, right? Mida kenega mida. You did bad, you're going to have it bad. Right? You did bad, you're going to have it bad. Right? Right? Nevuah says even worse. Nevuah looks at Chet deeper, as you had a connection with HaKadosh Baruch Hu, who's the Makor HaChaim. Through a Chet, you severed your connection with him. So that's why Nevuah says, Nefesh HaChaltas Tamus. But either or, there's a common denominator between, Chachma's approach and Nevuah's approach. They're very simple. They're both coming from very same general standpoint. You did a Chet, you made a hole in reality. So now what are you going to do? You're going to dig up dirt to fill up the hole, so you have another hole over there, right? So you dig up dirt somewhere else to fill up that hole. Now you have a hole over there, right? You understand? That's the problem. If reality is a closed circuit, so once you do a Chet, you're screwed. For use a better word, right? Right? Nitfakta. Because you made a hole in reality. Where you go? How are you going to plug it up, right? So wisdom says you did bad, get bad. Nevuah says you severed your relation with the Rebbe Shem, so you're going to die. The Korchaim. But says the Torah Yavi Osham Yiskaper. Says the Maharal, because with the Torah, HaKadosh Baruch Hu created the world. So it's very simple. If the Torah could mamish bring new life, yesh me'ayin, kal v'chomer could plug up the hole. It could repair. If Torah could create, then it could repair. But you see what you're talking about? You're talking about bringing in new koach. Just like, initial creation is a brand new koach. So says the Maharal, that koach could also, could also work to plug up the hole that you made. But it's the same point. Lamaisa, if you live with Torah, we're talking about entering the Marechet of Torah mitzvahs, Marechet of Beis Alofim Torah. If you live with Torah, you live in a world where there's Chidush. So you could bring down the new energy to plug up the hole. Just like Torah could give you a whole new world out of nowhere, so it could certainly plug up a hole. That's roughly what the Maharal is saying. Because it's Klei Nosei, because with it Hashem created the world, so it could certainly repair. But it means, it means you sent the world back to the manufacturer, right? And there's like you're putting in new energy, and that's why there's hope for the Chayte. Without Chidush, there's no hope for the Chayte. There's a hole in reality. How are you going to get rid of the hole, right? But so Kapara is a Chiddush. So Chodesh Zelochem is Parshas Vayikra. Vayikra, all the korbanos lekapara. Ubanos betzchar lechapel kol seinu. Kapara is the biggest siman ledavar for chiddush. But going one step deeper. So kapara is mamish, plugging up the hole. Because we said ched is chisaron, kapara is hashlama, right? And that comes mikoach the Torah. Torah brings chiddush to the world. B'soid ha'chodesh hazelachem. But to tighten the connection to Rosh Chodesh, we find, in the Musaf of Rosh Chodesh, well, be it that the korban is called Chatzos Hashem, Havilai Kapara Shemiat Tiyas Hayareach, right? And we say it in our, in the Rosh Chodesh davening that we regular Musaf, Zman Kapara L'chol Todosa. Or in the Ata Yitzarta we said Shabbos, we gave a Shabbosis L'menucha V'Rosh Chodashim L'Kapara. Because as we said, the whole concept of chisaron is the miut hayareach, and with every chodesh, every chidush halavana in the ruchni dimensions, each, even though the eye can't measure this progress, but you could be sure that in the ruchni dimensions, with every single new rosh chodesh, every single new kiddush hachodesh, with every single renewal of the moon, the Pegimas Halavana is being filled in. The whole Efsharut for any type of Chisaron is being filled in. That's the Chiddush that's coming into the Bria. The world is changing. The world, newness is coming into the world. That all Chet, all Chis, in the broad sense, all Chisaron is being mitkaper, is being washed away. And that's what Parshas Chodesh, Vayikra, and Nisan L'Doros all have to do with each other.
Very good.